Okay.
So, why is The Exorcist 3 so good? Clearly the next best Exorcist movie after the first one. Probably there's not much in it between them, but the first one is the classic and the original, so it takes the cake. But Exorcist 3 was bloody brilliant. It was brilliant for many reasons. Okay, so straight off the bat, it's very different to the original Exorcist. The original Exorcist was sort of a mystery drama about Karras having lost his faith, having to do battle with the demon who possessed Reagan. This one is a little bit more complex. This one has a killer called Gemini Killer, who is clearly probably a play on the Zodiac Killer. That killer gets enlisted by the demon Pazuzu and put into Father Karras's body right at the end, and Pazuzu attempts to keep Karras alive and rebuild him so he can torture him continuously. So how the demon attempts to torture Karras is by making him fully conscious in his own body while the Gemini Killer is killing people using his body through the demon's power. Structurally, it sort of plays out like a detective murder mystery sort of movie, with the main character in this one being Kinderman the detective, basically stumbling across the Gemini Killer's victims and subsequently trying to catch the Gemini Killer. The twist is obviously that he already caught the Gemini Killer once in the past. The Gemini Killer was put to death, So right off the bat, it has the mystery element that you don't know if it is the Gemini killer or a copycat or what is going on here. There is a bit of play between the Gemini killer and the demon. The Gemini killer, his motive was to kill because his father was an abusive preacher. So he would kill to shame his father, and every person he killed had to have the initials of his father in their names. So the Gemini killer is just out to kill. He's not specifically out to torture Karis or anything. He is just in it to kill to shame his father. That's his motive. The Demon Pazuzu's motive is just basically to torture Karis, because Karis took Reagan away from Pazuzu with the exorcism at the end of the first movie. So the very best parts of this movie are the Kinderman character. He's just charming. George C. Scott just adds that charisma to the role where he's just the grounded sort of everyman. You totally buy him. You're completely immersed in him being a detective. He has good banter with everyone else, particularly the other priest. And it just adds that authenticity to the movie. The next biggest strength in the movie is Brad Dourif, who plays the Gemini killer. His rants in this movie are classic. They're some of the best religious rants in movies ever. If you have never seen this movie and you're not too worried about spoilers, those rants are on YouTube. Like, look them up. Like, it is hardcore acting and it is very impressive. Probably the next greatest strength after those two absolutely brilliant performances by those actors, George C. Scott and Brad Dourif, is the suspense in the movie and the restraint shown in the movie. There are very, very few kills on screen. I'm not sure if there's a single kill on screen. All of it is purely the aftermath of the murders, but it is conveyed absolutely brilliantly through both dialogue and character acting, which makes the murders seem so much worse.
Christ.
Now, what do I mean by that? Like, okay, so a typical modern day movie would show just the murder outright, like superficially gory, all the blood, all the everything, right? You'd be right there witnessing it. In this, it is conveyed through dialogue. Okay, so for example, one of the first murders of like a little black Christian boy that the detective Kinderman knows, he conveys the details of the murder through a conversation to his friend, the other priest, and the emotional impact it has on both Kinderman and the priest just conveys the horror in the method of the murder so much better than if it was to just be shown. The details conveyed just through the dialogue of the murder just have that horrific sort of quality that just adds a ton of tension and suspense in the movie. And part of the movie's character's arcs is George C. Scott's like eventual breakdown when faced with evil, because he's not Christian, but he's sort of agnostic throughout the movie. And he sort of has a bit of banter back and forth with the priest about Christianity, but he's sort of jaded. And throughout the movie, he gets more and more emotionally beat down by the murders and everything. And towards the end, during the final confrontation with the demon, he kind of breaks. So like that's like the main character arc of George C. Scott, and it's just brilliant because the description of the murders and the emotional acting and reaction George C. Scott has to them just adds so much weight to the character arc. It's absolutely brilliant. It's really underrated. It also has some like pretty horrible sort of imagery in it where during the dream sequence when George C. Scott's priest friend gets killed by the Gemini killer, it depicts heaven and the afterlife as sort of a vaudevillian train station, and like that depiction of heaven as that just has a very sinister, creepy aspect to it. Like its horror lies in being unsettling this time around, through tension and through being unsettling with its imagery. In addition to like its imagery, the rants by Brad Dourif, his like extremely emotional, hate-filled rants, and taunting of Kinderman about, you know, being the one that killed his priest friend. Like the horror in that the demon has the ability to seize a soul from hell like the Gemini killer and like place it in either a catatonic or charis, through like possession. Like that is absolutely horrifying, like in its portrayal in the movie. The movie's just like a little bit different than the book though. Like in the book, the Gemini killer was basically murdering to shame his father, like as I previously mentioned. And by the end of the book, Legion, his father dies, so he has no more reason to murder basically, so he kind of just stops. In the movie, there's a big flashy exorcism showdown with some random other priest. In my opinion, that was probably a little bit of a misstep here, because in the book it's sort of about his resentment is towards the corruption of the church because of his abusive preacher father, and that's where all his motive comes from, that he wants to murder to shame his father. In the movie, it has a big, silly, flashy exorcism thing, and George C. Scott shoots Karras at the end of it to put him out of his misery and free his soul from Pazuzu. Bit goofy, little bit goofy. Yeah. This one also does have a little bit of the horror of mental illness by its like depiction of a mental asylum filled with like catatonic people with like, you know, brain degeneration, Alzheimer's, that sort of thing. And its depiction of that's pretty raw and brutal as well. Like that's pretty horrific in and of itself. But it also has a little bit of that superficial, goofy stuff going on when it implies that the demon can possess catatonics. So in one scene it has like a silly, superficial demon scuttling about on like a roof. Like a little catatonic possessed old woman scuttling about on a roof. Like the image of that is creepy, but it's I don't think it fits well with the tone of the movie. Like it's a little bit of meat with the potatoes, I guess, if like you need something like that in the movie. But because otherwise it might have been like a little bit too slow burn maybe. But it comes across as pretty goofy. Put it this way, the quality of the performances, dialogue, acting, like the quality of that, it could have survived alone without any goofy superficial horror stuff. But quite frankly, it really is a good movie, and it's incredibly underrated. Like, it gets overlooked so hard because of well, the Exorcist 2, which was, you know, complete trash. So everyone thought, okay, the sequel's trash, the third one's going to be like even trasher, right? You're going to be diluting the well even more. But I think Blatty had a lot of involvement with this one, and he was like the original writer of the first one, and he's actually like a great writer. He's very, very underrated. So the quality again shines through on this one. Like, it's worth it alone for the George C. Scott like detective story where he's like trying to catch a murderer. Like, that alone is good, and then on top of that you have the Brad Dourif like rants, which I think is his best work as an actor, are his rants to George C. Scott and his taunting about how he killed George C. Scott's friend. Like, those rants are probably his best work as an actor, and it is just something to see. It's like really impressive. Look, apparently this was also like Dharma's favourite movie, so, you know, me enjoying it, you know, too much might seem a little bit weird. But, yeah.
Quick and clean. This way. All right. It's a close one. Behind you! gun.
I guess. Okay then.
Shit. I got it!